that my Catholic children will be attending Pride events, as this Catholic will.
Jesus would be the Grand Marshal at the Pride Parade. I don't mean about gay people, I mean it.
Amongst other religions, Christianity has always come under assault, demeaned, and constantly despised. Christianity has long been the target of intense criticism and derision. From ancient times to the present day, it has been maligned, mocked, and attacked by a variety of opponents. Here are people who think it is okay to mock Christianity. Take a look at this. This is Jack Black. In a musical promoting homosexuality, Jack Black played the role of Jesus.
And fix our hair, and our love's not a sin. Well, the Bible says it's so.
Well, the Bible says a lot of things, you know?
Jesus Christ!
Hey, how's it going?
Jesus, doesn't the Bible say these people are an abomination?
Abomination?
Yeah, but you know, it says the exact same thing about this shrimp cocktail.
Jack Black's mocking of Jesus and the Holy Bible is incredibly offensive and disrespectful. Jesus and Christianity is always the one taking the heat. Hard to come by them trying this with any other religion. Now listen to this.
A lot of people come up here and they thank Jesus for this award. I want you to know that no one had less to do with this award than Jesus. He didn't help me a bit. If it was up to him, Caesar Milan would be up here with that damn dog. So all I can say is, suck it, Jesus. This award is my God now.
This is insane. It is a sign of disrespect for the divine and can have serious consequences. Not only does it show a lack of respect for the divine, but it also shows a lack of respect for those who believe in God. No matter what faith or beliefs you have, mocking God is wrong and should not be done. Listen to Christian Acceptance Speech, who has won an Academy Award as well as 2 Golden Globe Awards, including one for his role playing Dick Cheney in the movie Vice. Hear what he has to say in the Golden Globe Award acceptance speech.
Thank you to Satan for giving me inspiration on how to play this role.
Satan is doing all he can to take center stage. He is gathering his children who are boldly disrespecting Christianity and the Bible. Hollywood is always ready to push narratives that insult Christianity. A few years ago, Netflix, the big tech streaming company, allowed on their platform a movie portraying Jesus as gay. In the show, you will see Jesus coming home with his gay partner to meet his family. Not only that, they also portrayed Mary, the mother of Jesus, as a weed smoker. The world loved this kind of shows and movies that make a mockery of Jesus. The show won an award. Seeing that the world loved the show and even congratulated them, they went on to release another show portraying Jesus as a drunk called The Last Hangover, and they won an award for it. In an ironic twist, the people receiving the award also mocked Jesus right on stage.
The Last Hangover, Puerta dos Fundos.
I never thought that we could say that, but thank you, God. Thank you, Jesus. We are here because of you. If you're not enjoying that, say something now. All right, we're keeping doing that.
Have you noticed that identifying Jesus as gay is now the new trend? That's what the mainstream media wants you to see. They are doing everything possible to implant into the church the ideology and acceptance of gay lifestyle.
You know, I was on Twitter this weekend and I read this tweet by Bishop Tobin, who's a Catholic bishop, and he comes out and he says that he wants to remind all Catholics not to support or engage in any pride and participate in any pride parades or anything supporting the LGBTQ community, because it's against Christian values and that it's harmful to children. And I tweeted out that my Catholic children will be attending pride events, as this Catholic will. And, you know, my faith always taught me, what would Jesus do?
Yes.
And I know Jesus would be attending that pride parade.
With pride.
And I also know that God is love. And Jesus is love.
Yeah.
And love is love.
It's so sad. And I don't know that they hide behind religion, because I said this on this show once before. Jesus would be the Grand Marshal at the Pride Parade.
You can see how boldly they use the name of Jesus Christ in their profanity. You don't see people in Hollywood using the name of the Prophet Muhammad as profanity. You don't see people using the name of any of the false gods of Hinduism as profanity. You don't see people using the name of Allah as profanity, but you will see people using the name of Jesus Christ as an expletive. You will see people using the name Jesus Christ with a curse word, either before it, in the middle of it, or at the end of it. This is the world in which we live in. Christianity has unfortunately been subjected to a history of disrespect and unfavorable comparison with other religions. It has been regularly demeaned and constantly vilified by its detractors. Despite this, Christianity remains a major world religion with millions of adherents around the globe. Why do they hate Jesus this much? The answer is simple. Satan is the god of this world, and he will do everything possible to get the light of the gospel out. But we know that he has lost the battle even before it started. So count it all joy and remember that the world will hate what you believe in because the world hated Jesus when he was here on earth. Stay blessed. Subscribe if you haven't. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.
Allah'ın gazabından kurt.
Why are you so mad at Jesus?
I hate Jesus.
Why do you hate Jesus?
He does not real.
Be not deceived. God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap.
And prayer, you think leaving it to God is the answer?
Watch out! Judgment is coming. You're going too far. There's a point beyond which the patience of God will not go. There's a line drawn.
Catastrophic rainfall slamming southeast Brazil, now killing at least 46 people.
Christianity is the most mocked religion. Like, we want to look at religions with respect and dignity.
Why now? What took you so long? Anyway, it's time for our mid-show recap, and I'm here on the floor with all of my peers. Just go with it. And this is so exciting because everywhere you look, there's a Fanning. Elle, Dakota, Peyton. The air is thick with the smell of signature fragrances and the lingering stench of ballroom salmon. Ballroom salmon is actually the name of Stanley Tucci's new cologne, now available at Buca di Beppo. So much has already happened in the first half, and the acceptance speeches have been on fire. Who got shouted out the most? Let's look at the numbers. All right, cast and crew are leading the way with 11 mentions. Moms are holding strong with 3 shout-outs. God, creator of the universe, 0 mentions. And Mario Lopez, host of Access Hollywood, 1. All right. No surprise in this godless town. The room has been buzzing, and there's been a lot of talk about comebacks, right? Like Pamela Anderson and Demi Moore, and who just won. And it turns out, if you're a woman over 50 in a lead role, they call it a comeback. If you're a guy over 50 in a lead role, congratulations, you're about to play Sydney Sweeney's boyfriend. Well, that's it for the first half, and we're still nowhere near to picking a new pope. Tedesco's still in the lead with 31 votes. This table gets it. Please welcome our next presenters from Captain America, Brave New World, Anthony Mackie, and my therapist, Golden Globe nominee Harrison Ford. Let's look at the numbers. All right, cast and crew are leading the way with 11 mentions. Moms are holding strong with 3 shout-outs. God, creator of the universe, 0 mentions. And Mario Lopez, host of Access Hollywood, 1. All right. No surprise in this godless town. The room has been buzzing, and there's been a lot of talk about comebacks, right? Like Pamela Anderson and Demi Moore, and who just won, and it turns out...
Well, Judy and Rob, this rapidly spreading sunset fire in the Hollywood Hills has sparked an evacuation for a very heavily populated area of the city. And this is the latest fire. It is prompting an aggressive response and leading to more fears for an already devastated area. Fire crews tonight desperately trying to get a handle on multiple wildfires burning around Los Angeles.
We have strike teams committed from all over the state and as far as Arizona coming to assist us.
People living here in disbelief after watching so much of their community simply turn to destruction.
Furniture that we've, built a lifetime upon, photos, just everything.
Churches have burned, all the schools have burned, the markets, the gas stations.
This is Ring video from Malibu showing the flames raging right outside of a home after the owner got out. The rush to escape as these fires closed in, proving to be dangerous.
There was gas shooting out into the road. All of the trees were on fire. I was riding, I had my helmet on, and there were branches and embers hitting me.
Residents simply shocked by the scale of the damage.
It's Armageddon. I'm driving through a war zone right now, and I don't even know what to say. I'm speechless. I'm shocked.
Now, all of these fires spreading so fast tonight, especially that Palisades fire. We have drone video here showing the extensive damage that the fire already has caused. And we have an animation for you showing how quickly this situation has evolved. Let's take a look now. This is a satellite view of some homes near the origin point of that fire. And as we zoom out, you can see just how much this fire has grown this over just the past day and a half. Judy?
Watch breaking news on YouTube. Subscribe to ABC7 Chicago Eyewitness News.
Catastrophe in California. A Los Angeles disaster movie roars to life.
Whoa! This was like an 80-mile-an-hour blowtorch.
I came out and I saw a fireball.
Do you know what you're gonna do now?
How do I get to my house?
Tonight, homes in ashes.
Oh, God, it's gone.
I hadn't cried until I got here.
Lives in chaos.
My parents tried to get me out of here, but I couldn't leave.
I can't go, bro. 51 years that I've been in this house.
Heroes in action.
You haven't slept? Not really. You got control on one, and then the winds pick up.
The flames are still burning, and questions are burning too.
How is there no water in the hydrants, Governor? Is it going to be different next time?
It has to be.
What lies ahead?
How do you come back from something like this?
They come back one day at a time.
LA's landscape changed forever. Its strength still stands.
We are resilient. We'll find a way.
We will rebuild, and we will rebuild together.
Now, the very latest from the front lines. Fire and ash. Devastation in LA.
Good evening. I'm Lester Holt. Everywhere you look in fire-ravaged LA, scenes of apocalyptic destruction. As 6 different wildfires turned some of the most iconic neighborhoods in the world into moonscapes. Here's where things stand this evening. At least 11 people are dead. More than 150,000 are under evacuation orders. And some 10,000 buildings and structures have been burned to the ground. Tonight, stories of heartbreak, heroism, and also hope. But first, we take you moment by moment through the last 4 days, from the first sparks to the mammoth blazes now unleashing their full fury across a great American city.
It all began 4 days ago when Los Angeles residents might have expected a typically beautiful Tuesday in their city. But that morning was different. Dry winds were blowing harder than almost anyone could remember. So around 10:30 a.m., when a small fire broke out along a bushy hillside near a state park, those winds quickly fanned the flames. LA firefighters got word on their internal radio channel.
This has the potential for 200 plus acres in the next 20 minutes. We have a potential for structures being threatened in the next 20 minutes.
The fire started to burn through one of the wealthiest and most beautiful neighborhoods in the country, the Pacific Palisades.
I saw when the fire first started, so I rushed over here to pack my belongings, and I got the evacuation orders.
Barely 2 hours after the fire broke out, residents began fleeing by car, but some got stuck in their tracks.
The homeowners are saying they're unable to access any exit routes. There's fire on both sides of the road.
Amid the growing chaos, many abandoned their cars in the gridlocked traffic. Responding fire crews used a bulldozer to clear a path. Crucial minutes ticked by. By 4 p.m., the monstrous fire had gathered even more strength, devouring homes.
I think over behind us on Enchanted Way, there's probably 4 homes that were lost. I could see from the roof, I could see a structure on fire, so.
Firefighters tried to attack the flames with airdrops by helicopter as the winds kept driving the fire forward, toppling trees and severing power lines.
The only thing I heard above that wind was the power lines popping.
By 6:30 p.m. on Tuesday, the Palisades fire had already burned more than 1,200 acres and forced the evacuation of thousands.
We were here not too long ago.
California Governor Gavin Newsom declared a state of emergency.
It's incredibly important that we heed the warnings, the calls, that we're not out of the woods by any stretch of the imagination.
The governor was right. Just as he and his team were speaking, another fire had broken out in Altadena, a small foothill community to the east of the Palisades. Officials would name it the Eaton Fire, after a canyon near its origin.
Which is your house?
Yeah, this is our house. Backyard's on fire. I'm out of here.
That new fire blew up rapidly in the darkness, expanding its scale, forcing the evacuation of this assisted living facility.
You'll see the people on stretchers and just the effort, the very rapid effort to try to get these people out of harm's way.
As the night wore on, the hurricane-force winds reached upwards of 75, even 100 miles per hour, making it unsafe for those helicopters to fly.
We're trying to surround the fire, break it up into different divisions so geographically we can orchestrate an effective attack on it.
On Wednesday morning, plumes of smoke rose out of the canyons and blotted out the sun. The Palisades fire had continued its march west, scorching 5,000 acres in its path.
You can see these coastal beachfront homes just erupting in flames.
An estimated 1,000 structures had been razed by the fire. Cars, schools, churches, communities gone.
It's devastating. It is apocalyptic. This does not feel real.
Good morning, thank you. At a morning press conference, the Los Angeles County Fire Chief Anthony Marrone didn't mince his words.
The fire is growing. We have no percentage of containment.
And 40 miles away, there were the first reports of deaths from that Eaton fire.
Unfortunately, we have 2 reported fatalities.
Tens of thousands of people remained under mandatory evacuation orders. And yet we found people returning to see what the fire had spared and what it had not.
Is this your home? I'm so sorry.
How long were you here?
My entire life. Yeah, I'm kind of in shock right now. Just watching this house burn down here too.
Armed with garden hoses and buckets, people whose homes were miraculously untouched threw water onto smoldering roofs and yards. In Altadena, KNBC reporter Michelle Vallis watched the neighbors rush to help a man hold back the flames the monster winds fueling a sudden roll of fire.
These neighbors desperately try to keep their home from catching fire.
And then rescue came.
Here they come! We're gonna help you!
More than 7,000 firefighters and emergency personnel had been deployed across the region since the fires began, saving who and what they could. Fighting walls of fire, often on foot, and sometimes running low on water.
Out of every fire hydrant you've seen, what have you found?
Right now, we're finding most of them are down or low pressure.
Help was on the way. Fire trucks hit the road from neighboring states. But the fires didn't wait.
Oh my God. Runyon Canyon is on fire.
A new fire took hold in the Hollywood Hills. Officials dubbed it the Sunset Fire and ordered people to evacuate. There was panic and gridlock on Sunset Boulevard as the fire pressed close to the Hollywood Bowl. And then a sound of hope people didn't know they'd been waiting for. Choppers in the air. Here, at least the winds had died down, giving firefighters a fighting chance. In fact, as the sun rose Thursday over Los Angeles, the winds remained calmer. CAL FIRE's Chief Brent Pasqua.
So this morning is a night and day difference from the last 2 days. I believe if it stays like this, we can actually turn a corner on these fires.
Firefighters were making significant headway on the Sunset Fire in the Hollywood Hills, and officials lifted evacuation orders there. As they gathered with reporters, they revealed how much had been lost so far in places like Altadena.
The Eaton fire remains estimated to be 10,600 acres, and we have 0% containment.
I have 5 friends who have lost their homes, 2 who've lost their entire block.
Closer to the coast, the Palisades fire burned more than 17,000 acres. The air was so toxic, schools throughout the region were closed. Life here is unrecognizable.
We can smell all of the chemicals and things that were inside these properties that were burning. It's just complete devastation, but home after home after home destroyed.
Early in the afternoon, television viewers witnessed a new disaster in the making. Flames from the Eaton fire were lapping at the edges of the iconic Mount Wilson Observatory. It's also a vital communications link, housing broadcast towers for the entire Los Angeles area. A KNBC engineer was inside that building, offering a lesson in competence and cool-headedness.
We've been preparing for this for a couple days now. We're in a good place up here. We've got a lot of assets that rolled in early this morning in preparation for what's happening now.
Hours later, the fire had retreated. Late Thursday, authorities imposed a curfew on the 2 largest evacuation zones to prevent looting and called in the California National Guard to assist. But fire, of course, remained the biggest threat. And sure enough, another one broke out, the Kenneth Fire in Bell Canyon. Evacuation orders went out.
We keep seeing these fires pop up in different places. If you're told to evacuate, then get the hell out.
By this morning, the death toll had climbed to 10 people. And tonight, the cause of all these fires remains under investigation. As Los Angeles neighborhoods continue to burn, people are bracing for whatever may come next.
I don't know how we recover, but I do know that we will rebuild, and we're going to rebuild together.
When we come back, residents of the hard-hit Palisades return home to a surreal scene. Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.
The very best to keep this fire from hopscotching from one home to another as it's doing right now in this very active and very dangerous situation.
The fire roared like an uncontrollable beast, devouring Pacific Palisades within hours. Multi-million-dollar mansions lit up the night, not with their dazzling lights, but with the ferocious flames consuming everything in their path. Explosions echoed from luxury cars, opulent possessions melted away, and dreams turned to ash. Many black celebrities could only watch helplessly as everything they owned vanished into the inferno. One family barely escaped with their young child in their arms, leaving everything else behind. Elsewhere, a star collapsed in despair after losing 80% of their lifetime savings. The horrifying tragedy stripped them of everything. But people who once lived at the pinnacle of luxury, now left with nothing but ashes and tears. 1. LeBron James, basketball billionaire and the tragedy of a mansion in flames. LeBron James, the symbol of the NBA, is not just a basketball superstar, but also the first active player to become a billionaire, with a net worth exceeding $1.2 billion. Among his vast assets was a $23 million mansion in Brentwood, a masterpiece of modern architecture praised for its elegance and sophistication. This lavish estate had it all: 8 bedrooms, 11 bathrooms, a car gallery, a wine cellar, a luxury spa, and a massive swimming pool. It was the setting for countless cherished family moments until tragedy struck. On the night Brentwood was engulfed in smoke, fire alarms blared relentlessly as a ruthless wildfire gave no room for escape. Inside the grand mansion, LeBron James and his family were enjoying a peaceful evening when the blaring sirens shattered their tranquility. "Go now! Leave everything behind!" LeBron shouted, rushing his family through the gleaming hallways that once symbolized his success and power. Within minutes, the flames devoured the opulent bedrooms, the sleek modern kitchen, and the family theater. Marble walls worth a fortune and intricate French oak floors were reduced to ash. The shimmering pool, the wine cellar, and the spa, their personal sanctuary, were nothing but smoldering remnants. LeBron stood on the roadside, staring at the wreckage in despair. There was nothing he could do but watch as his lifetime achievements turned to smoke. The mansion wasn't just a physical asset, it was a repository of countless irreplaceable memories. After over 12 hours of relentless firefighting, the damage was estimated at $20 million. Yet to LeBron, no figure could encapsulate the pain of such profound loss. Standing before the ashes, he was silent, as though his life's efforts had vanished with the rising smoke. Kamala Harris and Doug Emhoff, a $1 million home devoured by flames, priceless memories nearly stolen. Kamala Harris, the Vice President of the United States, and her husband Doug Emhoff, a renowned lawyer, boast a net worth of $8 million. Among their prized possessions was a $5 million mansion in the Brentwood neighborhood of Los Angeles, a testament to their success and hard work. This 3,500 square foot home, complete with 4 bedrooms and a luxurious pool just 10 minutes from the Getty Center, had been the backdrop of cherished family moments since Doug purchased it in 2012. On January 8, 2025, Brentwood was shaken by a devastating wildfire that ravaged everything in its path. Kamala and Doug's $1 million home was not spared from the destructive flames. As thick black smoke engulfed the area, Kamala and Doug were at the White House when they received news that their home was under imminent threat. Despite being safe, the modern, opulent residence now stood with its charred walls as the only remnants. Damages were estimated at $3 million, but the emotional loss was immeasurable. Kamala solemnly remarked, "We can rebuild, but the memories tied to this place are gone forever." Despite the loss, Kamala Harris and Doug Emhoff remain resilient. They have pledged to support the Brentwood community and other families heavily impacted by this disaster. Their dedication of their estates. How did nature's wrath test their physical and emotional resilience? Let's uncover their stories next. 6. Jason Statham, the action icon and the shock of a $20 million mansion reduced to ashes. Jason Statham, the legendary star of the Fast and Furious franchise, is not only a leading action hero, but also a symbol of success and wealth. With an estimated net worth of $80 million, he owns several luxurious properties, the most notable being his $20 million beachfront vacation home in Malibu. Known as the Black House, the 909-square-foot mansion was nestled within the exclusive Malibu colony, a haven for Hollywood elites. The house featured 4 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, and cutting-edge amenities, including custom sound and lighting systems and state-of-the-art security. On a fateful morning, Jason Statham and his girlfriend were enjoying a serene retreat at their beachside sanctuary. The calming sound of crashing waves seemed a perfect escape from work pressures. But their tranquility was shattered when an urgent alert from firefighters warned them of an approaching wildfire. Jason sprang into action. "We have to go now," he shouted as he saw black smoke creeping over the horizon. The couple hastily packed a few valuables, but nothing could prepare them for the devastating sight of flames overtaking their home. Within moments, the modern glass walls, outdoor patio, and luxurious wine cellar were engulfed by fire. From a distance, Jason stood powerless, watching the fiery inferno consume everything. The cutting-edge sound system, advanced lighting, and lavish interiors all turned to ash. Priceless memorabilia from blockbuster films, endorsement deals, and cherished photographs were irretrievably lost. The $20 million masterpiece was reduced to rubble, with damages estimated at over $14 million. Despite firefighters' relentless efforts to control the blaze, it was too late. Jason, a man who had faced countless challenges on screen, stood silently as the last plume of smoke rose from the ruins of his home. "I've lost everything," he said, his voice heavy with sorrow. Yet, amid the heartbreak, he found solace in knowing Adam Brody and Leighton Meester, a $6.5 million dream home destroyed, just 48 hours after Golden Globe news. Adam Brody, a talented actor newly nominated for the 2025 Golden Globes, and Leighton Meester, a celebrated star with a combined net worth of $20 million, are one of Hollywood's power couples. Married since 2014, they've built a happy family with 2 children, residing in a $6.5 million luxury home in Pacific Palisades, a sanctuary filled with life's most treasured moments. But their joy was shattered by the recent wildfire. The fierce blaze swept through Pacific Palisades' lush hills, turning the area into a fiery inferno. Emergency evacuation orders forced Adam and Leighton to leave behind their 8,000-square-foot haven with 5 bedrooms, 7 bathrooms, and a stunning garden. Within hours, everything was gone. Firefighters worked tirelessly, but the flames devoured their mansion, leaving behind a charred heap and a few blackened walls. Watching live footage from the scene, Adam and Leighton were heartbroken as their lives turned to smoke and ash. Adam was elated to receive his Golden Globe nomination. Now, the glamour of success offered no solace for their loss. "We built this home together brick by brick," Leighton wept before the smoldering remains. "Every detail held a memory, and now it's all." Standing amidst the ruins, Paris Hilton, along with her family and pets, could do nothing but watch as the 3-bedroom house, covering less than 3,000 square feet, was consumed by flames in under an hour. The merciless fire destroyed everything, from luxurious interiors and elegant walls to the lush garden with its swimming pool and picturesque walkways. "This wasn't just a house, it was a place filled with memories," Paris said, her voice trembling. Her $15 million Pacific Palisades home fell victim to a catastrophic wildfire. The ferocious flames from the nearby forest spread with the fury of nature unleashed. Anna and her family swiftly evacuated their home, but it was in vain as the fire engulfed every corner. The 4-story modern mansion, constructed with premium materials, was reduced to rubble and ashes. "All that remains are memories," Anna said tearfully while standing amidst the charred ruins. Her once impressive $30 million net worth now felt hollow in the face of such a profound loss. Family mementos, cherished photos, and precious keepsakes were all mercilessly destroyed. Local authorities confirmed that the blaze had obliterated the luxurious estate, which had been a haven for Anna and her young son. The disaster not only robbed Anna of her material possessions, but also left an indelible scar on her spirit. She temporarily moved into a modest rental apartment in downtown Los Angeles than dollars and cents. Heartbreakingly, their beloved dog, Winnie, didn't survive the blaze.
Sodom has become corrupt, a city of sin.
But my nephew Lot lives there. He has a family.
The outcry against Sodom is great. Its sins are very grave.
Going to destroy it. In Sodom, will they suffer the same fate as the wicked?
We will test them. If my angels find 50 righteous people in Sodom, I will spare the whole city.
Please, help us. Fewer, 30, 20. You would not destroy them, surely.
Even if I find only 10, I will save the whole city.
of us are about to die.
To disrespect the one who gives you your daily breath, the one who causes the food that you eat to grow, the one who, as described by Jesus, even has the hairs of your head numbered. That's why when I see people mocking God, I usually think, do these people really think through what they're doing, or do they just utter careless words? I want you to listen to this story in the Bible of this foolish king who taught himself as God. This is the king of Tyre in Ezekiel 28. This is what the word says. The word of the Lord came to me, Son of man, say to the ruler of Tyre, this is what the sovereign Lord says. In the pride of your heart you say, I am a god. I sit on the throne of a god in the heart of the seas. But you are a mere mortal and not a god, though you think you are as wise as God. Want to know what happened to this arrogant, prideful king? God dashed him to pieces. He destroyed his pride and brought him foreigners who killed him and destroyed him. The prideful king died a very shameful and a violent death. And the word of the Lord says this about him in verse 9. Will you then say, I am a god in the presence of those who kill you? You will be but a mere mortal, not a god, in the hands of those who slay you. See what I'm talking about? The issue right here is pride. These days, people blaspheme God shamelessly. They think they got it all. They sold the holy name of God in dirt. They use his holy name as a cuss word. They
but there's more to it than meets the eye. The river was surrounded by several fascinating facts and beliefs. It was believed that the river's flow was controlled by the god Hapi, and its annual flooding was a result of his tears. This strange phenomenon was considered to be a blessing as it enriched the soil, making it perfect for farming. Besides, the Egyptians had another unique belief. They considered the river
Prepare to repel chariots!
Large and strong, with its top touching the sky. You, O King, are that tree. You have become great and strong. Your greatness has grown until it reaches the sky, and your dominion extends to the distant parts of the earth. But you saw a messenger, a holy one, coming down from heaven, saying, "Cut down the tree and destroy it, but leave the stump bound with iron and bronze in the grass of the field, while its roots remain in the ground. Let him be drenched with the dew of heaven. Let him live like wild animals. This is the interpretation, O king. And this is the decree that the Most High has issued against my lord the king. You will be driven away from people and live with the wild animals. You will eat grass like cattle until you acknowledge that the Most High is sovereign over the kingdoms of men and gives them to anyone he wishes. The command to leave the stump of the tree with its roots means that your kingdom will be restored to you when you acknowledge that the Most High rules. Therefore, O king, be pleased to accept my advice. Renounce your sins by doing what is right, and your wickedness by being kind to the oppressed. Seek the Lord while he may be found. And it may be that your prosperity will continue.
But the memory of kings is often short, and 12...
For centuries, Babylon stood as the greatest city of the ancient world, an empire of immense power, wealth and prestige. This is the incredible story of the rise and fall of Babylon, and how Cyrus the Great conquered the invincible in one night. Babylon was the legendary city, the crown jewel of Mesopotamia. This is the incredible story of the rise and fall of Babylon, and how Cyrus the Great conquered the invincible in one night. Babylon was the legendary city, the crown jewel of Mesopotamia. This is the incredible story of the rise and fall of Babylon, and how Cyrus the Great conquered the invincible in one night. Babylon was the legendary city, the crown jewel of Mesopotamia. City on earth was Cyrus's. But unlike other conquerors, Cyrus did not destroy Babylon. Instead, he embraced it. He freed the Jewish captives who had been held.
Months later, when the king was walking on the roof of the royal palace of Babylon.
In all the world, is there anything like this?
No, my king.
My great wall, which, mountain-like, cannot be moved, I've made with mortar and brick. Its foundations I've placed upon the very bosom of the underworld. Its top I've raised mountain high. Is this not the great Babylon that I have built as my royal palace with my mighty power for the glory of my majesty?
His words were still on his lips when a voice came down from heaven.
Nebuchadnezzar, for your arrogance and your failure to give glory to the Most High, your authority is stripped from you. Go now from this kingdom which you claim. Your mind shall be reduced to that of an animal, and you will wander the land until you acknowledge the glory of God as above your own.
Immediately what had been said about Nebuchadnezzar was fulfilled. For 7 years he ranged the wild lands of Babylon. But it was not until the full time of his exile was completed that he turned his eyes toward heaven and declared, "Praise be to the Most High. Honor and glory to him who lives forever."
Rise, Nebuchadnezzar.
For his dominion is an eternal dominion. Before him, all the people of the earth are regarded as nothing. He may do as he pleases with the powers of heaven and all the people of the earth. And no one may say him nay. No one may say him nay. Beware your place, for I am not as I was. Let it be recorded that I, Nebuchadnezzar, do praise, exalt, and glorify the King of heaven, because everything he does is right, and all his ways are just. And those who walk in pride, he is able to humble.
And so Nebuchadnezzar returned to his throne. But eventually, he was gathered to his fathers, and a series of new kings.
Watch what happens to this famous YouTuber after he mocks God.
You need a therapist because Jesus isn't quite doing it for you. I just am definitely questioning why we have to perpetuate a belief that is f***ing silly. Because I'll be honest with you, bro. Jesus Christ. I defamed Jesus and God, and I felt his wrath. The following 3 weeks have been the hardest period of my life. Started off in Qatar. I got violent food poison.
Camera taken away at the airport.
Get to my hotel. You know, it's just little things here and there. Things are showing up. We misscheduled. Next day got alcohol poisoning. Our luggage was delayed, so we had no clothes to get to our events. Qatar was the first time I felt the wrath of God.
And if you
Number 6. Logan Paul. Logan Paul is a controversial influencer who rose to internet fame through the use of apps such as Vine and then later on YouTube. Logan has had his fair share of controversies over the years and has been debated as a hot topic amongst many online communities. One such controversy surrounding this YouTuber came when he got into a heated back and forth with George Janko about Jesus on a podcast. In the episode, he brazenly exclaims, "F Jesus," a statement that rightfully made people turn against him. However, it seems as though he got a taste of instant karma. In the 3 weeks following that comment, he made a video where he said that he had defamed Jesus and God and had felt his wrath, that those weeks had been the hardest period of his life. He explained that the following weeks after he made those comments were spent in Qatar, where things just kept going wrong one after another. So much so that he would be forced to reconsider his comments and really ponder on the insensitivity of his words. Insensitivity of his words. Insensitivity of his words. Insensitivity of his words. One of the few people on the list who realized their mistake, Logan definitely immortalized himself as one of those who instantly got karma for mocking God. Number 4. Heather McDonald. Another karma incident comes as a reminder to always be careful and tasteful, even during entertainment when talking about God or other people's beliefs. This incident revolves around a well-known comedian by the name of Heather McDonald. McDonald was born in June of 1970 and is an American stand-up comedian, actress, and author. She's mostly known for her appearances on the E-series Chelsea Lately. Being one of 8 writers on the show, she often participates in sketches and segments. However, things did not go so well for her when during one of her stand-up specials, she took to joking around about Jesus. In the video, she can clearly be seen joking and sarcastically saying, "Clearly, Jesus loves me the most." The context of the words can be interpreted as blasphemous and disrespectful, especially given that her history shows she is not too keen on religion herself. She can be seen getting lightheaded in the second that she utters those words, and in the next moment, you see her pause, take a step back, and fall down dramatically on stage. Heather ended up fracturing her skull as a result of that fall and being admitted to the hospital. She also later acknowledges that the event in a later appearance at a podcast with much hesitance and nervousness. Her unsure attitude about the entire thing does very little to change the minds of people who are convinced that she was justly punished for mocking God. Whatever it may be, one thing is certain, she did in fact regret doing it that day. Number 4.
And I don't believe in all spirits and alter egos. And even mentioning stuff like that on TV, you're getting it. And honestly, that's the difference. If God is with me, nobody can be against me. And if you're entering spirits and stuff into your body, you can't win. You've already lost. I don't want anything the spirits that you claim. I don't want.
It's going to be your God against my God. It's going to be your God against my God.
You can't
no man on earth will ever beat me, Tyson.
Before destruction, the heart of man is haughty.
And win the first couple rounds.
A right hand, down goes Wilder!
Wilder!
Down goes Wilder! He's knocked down! Oh my goodness! 7, 8 of Deontay Wilder. Wow.
Fury, like I told him, he had pillows as fists.
Wilder's legs are not underneath him! Wilder is in huge trouble! No knockdown! No knockdown!
He's got to get out!
Wilder, Fury 2, here we go. He puts him down! Fury scores the knockdown in round number 3!
And there you see Tyson Fury throwing the left hook before right hand, and the right hand goes right on the top of the head. Deontay saying, what happened?
Well, that's the shot that Tyson Fury's been trying to land this whole fight.
His physical stature, it belies his skill and his
nimbleness.
Knockdown is scored! A body shot to Wilder!
And he's looking for the spot, hits him to the body, and Fury looks like if he ornaments it, telling him to keep his hands up, which is important.
And another head-snapping jab from Tyson Fury. We always talk about how Deontay Wilder has the ultimate eraser, but you have to be able to execute on it.
He is the winner by way of technical knockout. He is still the undefeated lineal heavyweight champion and the new WBC heavyweight champion of the world, the Gypsy King, Tyson Fury.
Out of this round, right? He bought himself some time right there.
Something about the legs of Deontay Wilder isn't working. Wilder is exhausted. Fury, down goes Wilder again for the second time in the fight.
Badly, they are stitching him up, and they will immediately take him to the hospital for a neurological test and to make sure that he is okay after that brutal beatdown he suffered at the hands of Tyson Fury.
Shocking. Reportedly in Campinas, Brazil, a group of friends drunk went to pick up a friend. The mother accompanied her to the car and was so worried about the drunkenness of her friends, and she said to the daughter, holding her hand, who was reportedly already seated in the car, she said this, "My daughter, go with God and may He protect you." The daughter responded. The news came that they had been involved in a fatal accident and everyone had died. The car they were traveling in could not even be recognized as
Never got COVID. Clearly, Jesus loves me the most. Seriously. So nice. So nice.
Whether you're a believer or not, one thing's for sure, crossing the line can lead to consequences you never saw coming. And when it comes to mocking God, there have been times when people seemingly paid the price for going a bit too far and found out why risking offense is never a game to play. Join us as we explore the 20 times that people mocked God and came to instantly regret it. Number 1. John Lennon. One of the most iconic figures of the century, someone who can truly say they left their mark on the world, would be John Lennon. An introduction for a man like him is surely not needed since he's had such an imposing and everlasting personality. Being a multifaceted artist, he became one of the founding members of the popular and extremely loved band The Beatles. Born in 1940 in Liverpool, England, he rose to prominence in one of the most influential bands of all time. But despite major success and the immense love he gathered from all around the world, he was actually not so keen to the idea of God. Many people, when blessed with something amazing or when they become successful, would thank God for miracles and love, and in Lennon's case, God apparently had no part in making him famous as he was, and he commonly rejected the idea of religion and God. Despite being raised in a devout Christian family and diligently visiting Sunday Mass, Lennon was a known atheist who was also against the idea of organized religion. Perhaps it was this disdain for religion and theistic values that had led him to making controversial statements in March of 1966, where he said the famously offensive words. In the interview that was published in the London newspaper, the Evening Standard, John said that the Beatles were more popular than Jesus. He went on to explain that people were more infatuated by the Beatles rather than Jesus, and Christianity as a whole was declining in popularity. His reasons also included rock music's popularity was on such a spike, it would not be long before it was more popular than religion. Upon its original publishing in the Evening Standard, it did not garner enough of a reaction, and when it was republished in the United States, all hell broke loose. The perceived blasphemous statement triggered a backlash and riots from evangelical Christian communities that felt deeply offended by the statement. Now, they felt that Lennon was comparing and making himself out to be superior to God. And after this, protests and threats were sparked by his remarks, especially in the United States Southern Bible Belt. Records were set on fire in public, press conferences were canceled, and some radio stations placed a permanent ban on the Beatles' music. The band was coincidentally supposed to be on a United States tour that same year, and this initiative was marred by the scandal. Not only did their U.S. tour become controversial in itself, but also overshadowed press coverage of their most recent album, Revolver. Seeing the huge reaction to his comments, at a number of press appearances, he later expressed regret and made it clear that he was not drawing comparisons between the band and Jesus Christ. However, the damage had already been done. The band would never tour again. Additionally, Lennon was also advised not to tour during his solo career, and if you think that this is the only regret he would have from mocking God, you would be wrong. The scandal triggered a chain of events that led to unfortunate circumstance. A few years down the line, in 1980, he met the end of his life when he was murdered by one of his own fans, Mark David Chapman. Chapman had alluded to Lennon's controversial Jesus comment as one of the possible motives for the murder, a sad state of affairs, but regretful nonetheless. Number 2. Thomas Andrews. Thomas Andrews is cited to be behind the creation of arguably the most infamous ship in the world, the Titanic. Andrews was the managing director and head of the drafting department of the company Harland & Wolff in Belfast, Ireland, and the naval architect in the creation of the Titanic, who played a huge role in its mighty descent into the sea. Andrews would be quoted by a friend saying that the Titanic was as perfect as the human brain could make her. However, this is not the only statement attributed to him that was famously known. It said that he was reported as saying, "Not even God can sink this ship." The bold words would later come to haunt him as he perished along with 1,500 other people when the Titanic's unsinkability would be compromised due to an iceberg. One mere iceberg had managed to make those words obsolete. Thomas Andrews is cited to be behind the creation of arguably the most infamous ship in the world, the Titanic. Andrews was the managing director and head of the drafting department of the company Harland & Wolff in Belfast, Ireland, and the naval architect in the creation of the Titanic, who played a huge role in its mighty descent into the sea. Andrews would be quoted by a friend saying that the Titanic was as perfect as the human brain could make her. However, this is not the only statement attributed to him that was famously known. It said that he was reported as saying, "Not even God can sink this ship." The bold words would later come to haunt him as he perished along with 1,500 other people when the Titanic's unsinkability would be compromised due to an iceberg. One mere iceberg had managed to make he was reported as saying, "Not even God can sink this ship." The bold words would later come to haunt him as he perished along with 1,500 other people when the Titanic's unsinkability would be compromised due to an iceberg. One mere iceberg had managed to make. Number 3. Tancredo Neves. Tancredo Neves was a Brazilian politician, lawyer, and entrepreneur, and Minister of Justice and Internal Affairs, as well as the Minister of Finance in 1962 and President of the Council of Ministers from 1961 to 1962. During his presidential campaign for the election of 1985, he's quoted to have been saying that if he got 500,000 votes from his party, not even God could remove him from the presidency. Similar to the case of the Titanic, the bold statements would not end very well for the politician. He ended up getting the votes he asked for, and in theory, you could say he got what he wanted. However, the Brazilian president-elect died on the 21st of April 1985 from complications following an intestinal surgery. This event had stopped him from becoming the country's first civilian ruler in 21 years. At the age of 75, he was an inch away from achieving what he desired so much and had even attained, but sadly would not be around to reap the actual achievement. It's highly theorized that his death just before he took office as the president is direct karma from the statements that he made during his campaign about challenging God. Tancredo Neves was a Brazilian politician, lawyer, and entrepreneur, and Minister of Justice and Internal Affairs, as well as the Minister of Finance in 1962 and President of the Council of Ministers from 1961 to 1962. During his presidential campaign for the election of 1985, he's quoted to have been saying that if he got 500,000 votes from his party, not even God could remove him from the presidency. Similar to the case of the Titanic, the bold statements would not end very well for the politician. He ended up getting the votes he asked for, and in theory, you could say he got what he wanted. However, the Brazilian president-elect died on the 21st of April 1985 from complications following an intestinal surgery. This event had stopped him from becoming the country's first civilian ruler in 21 years. At the age of 75, he was an inch away from achieving what he desired so much and had even attained, but sadly would not be around to reap the actual achievement. It's highly theorized that his death just before he took office as the president is direct karma from the statements that he made during his campaign. 5. Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn Monroe was an American actress and model who was born Norma Jean Mortensen. Recognized for her comedic portrayal of being a blonde bombshell, she rose to prominence as a sexual icon throughout the 50s and 60s, symbolizing the period's sexual revolution. For 10 years, she starred in the lead role in movies that brought in $200 million, and the figure it was equivalent to around $2 billion in today's time. The actress had described herself as a Jewish atheist, explaining her aversion to religion. On a call-in panel after her death, her friend Jean Carmen said, "I don't think she had a religion. We never talked about it." James Bacon was a panelist on the show, and one of her rumored lovers confirmed that she did not attend church, so it's no secret she was not fond of religion. When she was visited by Billy Graham during a presentation of a show, he said the Spirit of God had sent him to preach to her, and after hearing his comments, she was reported to have saying, "I don't need your Jesus." A week later, she'd be found dead in her room as a result of an overdose, and the cause was ruled as a probable unaliving, although nothing is confirmed. Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn Monroe was an American actress and model who was born Norma Jean Mortensen. Recognized for her comedic portrayal of being a blonde bombshell, she rose to prominence as a sexual icon throughout the 50s and 60s, symbolizing the period's sexual revolution. For 10 years, she starred in the lead role in movies that brought in $200 million, and the figure it was equivalent to around $2 billion in today's time. The actress had described herself as a Jewish atheist, explaining her aversion to religion. On a call-in panel after her death, her friend Jean Carmen said, "I don't think she had a religion. We never talked about it." James Bacon was a panelist on the show, and one of her rumored lovers confirmed that she did not attend church, so it's no secret she was not fond of religion. When she was visited by Billy Graham during a presentation of a show, he said the Spirit of God had sent him to preach to her, and after hearing his comments, she was reported to have saying, "I don't need your Jesus." A week later, she'd be found dead in her room as a result of an overdose, and the cause was ruled as a probable unaliving, although nothing is. Number 7. Brazil parades. When it comes to celebrations and parades, Brazil is famously known for going big or going home. One such parade sparked outrage when it displayed some concerning things. At a parade in 2019, Brazilians can be seen mocking Jesus as a figure dressed as Satan is seen beating and dragging around a figure dressed like Jesus. Onlookers are happily cheering the display as the figures blatantly disrespect not only Christianity, but a revered prophet amongst multiple religions. On top of that, a float in 2023 can be seen showing disrespectful imagery featuring a gigantic doll aimed to represent the devil. Many believe this heavenly justice was served as Brazil had triggered the wrath of God upon such a display, and that's seen in February of 2023 when Brazil experienced its largest rainfall event in history. The event devastated the northern coast of the state of Sao Paulo, causing landslides, floods, and record numbers of fatalities. What makes it even more tragic are the previous disasters in the region, like the extreme rainfall events in the summer of 2020. Those showers of rain dumped up to 320 millimeters of rain in a single day, breaking Brazil's record for the biggest rainfall in a single event. These events were heavy on consequence, yet some people still believe the mockery of God in the aforementioned parades was what triggered them. Number 8. Christopher Hitchens. Christopher Hitchens was a British novelist, writer, and educator who was born and raised in Britain, and the author of 18 books on faith, culture, politics, and literature, had earned a degree in philosophy, politics, and economics from Oxford University in the 1970s. He was yet another famous atheist, and even wrote a book titled God is Not Great. Hitchens identified as an anti-theist and believed that all religions were dangerous, tyrannical, and wrong. He used to say that as an ethical rule of conduct for human civilization, free speech, scientific advancement, and the separation of church and state had outperformed religion. His grievances seemed to be with religion, religious people, and God all at once. He preached his entire life about the faults and idiosyncrasies of theism and used evidence and facts to somehow prove the belief in God wrong. Hitchens was on tour in New York in June of 2010 to promote his memoirs, and that was when he was urgently taken to the emergency room after suffering a severe effusion. Soon after, he made the public aware that he was postponing his tour to undergo treatment for esophageal cancer. Some believe that it's ironic and poetic justice that a man who gave speeches against God his entire life ended up with cancer of the throat. By the end of his life, his body had become incredibly weak, and he died of pneumonia December the 15th of 2011. Number 9. Madalyn Murray O'Hair. Here we have another individual who largely supported the same beliefs as Christopher Hitchens. Madalyn Murray O'Hair was an American activist and used to deny the Holocaust and support atheism. She also believed in the separation of church and state. She founded the organization American Atheists in 1963 and served as its president until 1986, when her son John Garth had succeeded her. She also created the first issues of American Atheist magazine and identified as a militant feminist. A proud atheist and feminist, she cared very little for religion and actually preached against it throughout her whole life. She's most famously known for the Murray versus Curlett lawsuit, a lawsuit that challenged the policy of mandatory prayer and Bible reading in Baltimore public schools every day. And not only that, she won the lawsuit after taking it to the United States Supreme Court in 1963, promptly earning the nickname of the most hated woman in America. She was said to be very difficult to deal with, especially when it came to matters of religion, and as a staunch atheist, she had mocked Jesus more times than one. Ironically, her son became a pastor, despite the extreme levels of devotion that she and her family had practiced with atheism. Then in 1995, she disappeared along with Garth and her granddaughter Robin. It would later be revealed that she was murdered, and their bodies were found in 2001. Number 10. Bon Scott. Bon Scott was an Australian singer and songwriter, and his greatest accomplishment was serving as the second lead vocalist and lyricist of the hard rock band AC/DC. He was not particularly religious, but did end up getting in a crossfire of religious sentiments. His song Highway to Hell was the controversy that started it all. Highway to Hell was the title track of AC/DC's first album, which sold more than 1 million copies, and according to them, it broke them in America. However, the song came with its own set of faults. Controversial and so-called satanic lyrics became one of the complaints of people, as it was perceived that it glorified Satanism. The antagonistic attitude towards God and religion, along with questionable lyrics on top, led a lot of people to conclude that Scott dying in February of 1980, after having choked on his own vomit, had somehow incurred the wrath of God. Number 11. Conor McGregor. Next on the list is another famous person who is flippant about the idea of God. Conor McGregor is an Irish professional mixed martial artist and professional boxer, and as a former UFC champion, he's been highly successful all throughout his career. However, during one interview with TMZ, McGregor answered some light-spirited questions in a debatable manner. How would you versus Jesus go down, and how would he fare, the fighter would be asked. The questions were provocative, yet meant to be taken in a joking and light-hearted manner. In answer, the fighter responded, "There's not a man alive that can beat me. Jesus ain't alive, is he? So maybe he could come back from the dead. I would still whoop his ass." Shocking and appalling, the answers, although said as a joke, were still highly arrogant and disrespectful. But karma was in McGregor's cards, as he was brutally defeated in the very next fight with Nate Diaz. He was instantly reminded that there are men alive who can beat him, and his fight with Nate made him eat his own words. Number 12. XXXTentacion. XXXTentacion was a famous rapper and did not particularly lean towards any specific religion. Although he did believe that some sort of being had created everything, he did not like the idea of most religions. He had songs like Who the F is God and God's Purpose that did not set well with a lot of people, and during an interview, he was seen as saying, "A year from now, all these people will be worshiping me if I don't die. I hope I don't die." This blasphemous statement ended up contradicting itself as he ended up leaving the world a year later. Number 13. Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga is a globally renowned singer, songwriter, and actress, and she's known for her avant-garde fashion, bold persona, and powerful vocal performances. All throughout her career, she had consistently challenged many conventions while embracing diversity. She's been quite the controversial figure, as she's written songs like Judas, which contain blasphemous and satanic lyrics and themes. During one performance of such a song, she's seen singing on stage when equipment falls on her head right as it's being taken out by a worker. People speculate that the timing of this is too convenient not to be karma. Number 14. The First Congregational Church in Spencer, UCC. The First Congregational Church of Spencer in Massachusetts was struck by lightning June the 2nd of 2023 and then burnt down. The church in question had been in favor of LGBTQ+ people and posted messages and opinions that directly contradicted the Bible on their Facebook page. It's widely theorized that the fire was a sign of displeasure from a higher power and is considered to be their karma. Although there have been many instances where the mockery against religion and God has gone unnoticed and even appreciated, these events tell us a rather glaring tale. Disrespect seldom goes unpunished, and you get your karma one way or another. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe so that you never miss a video in the future, and I'll see you next time.